Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
KISS plus knowledge plus knowing the mind of savers equals a worry-free retirement.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with offices in Louisville and Bowling Green. Your host, five-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
I was fortunate enough to recently take on a new client who several months ago had contacted our offices after being notified that he was being offered a buyout. A buyout's another way of saying that your employer is politely asking you to move on. But anyway, he was forced to make this decision on retiring much sooner than he had planned. And he had seen the TV show and he responded to the show and the offer to meet in person at no cost or obligation. And here he came. He and his wife and I met on several occasions. And after seeing a detailed game plan that we provided this gentleman, he decided to move all of his money and his 401k account over to our process, the Worry-Free Retirement. Now, after closing out his old accounts, after rolling over the 401k, after getting the Worry-Free Retirement game plan all in place, after confirming when his first mailbox money check would come, I asked him, I said, okay, now that you have your 401k in place with us and everything's set and good to go, and again, in a few weeks, we're going to get your first check deposited into your personal checking account. How do you feel about our process? Now, his response actually surprised me. This newfound client summed up his entire experience of retiring sooner than he thought and the experience of working with us as his now retirement specialist and fiduciary. He simply said, "You made this so simple." Well, hello and welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am your host, 401k rollover specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And today, before we get into the show, I got to brag on our studios. We're actually, you might say, hey, that looks different over there, Tony. Where in the world is that? Well, we're out of our old studios and into our brand new studios up in Louisville, Kentucky at our new offices, by the way, which are opened at 8303 Shelbyville Road. You got to drop by, folks. We're open Monday through Thursday. If you want to drop by, get a free starter kit, just drop by at 8303 Shelbyville Road, just down the street from the Oxmoor Mall here in Louisville. And of course, our offices are obviously open there at 2451 Industrial Drive in Bowling Green. But anyway, we've got America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron Orander, in the studio. He's a happy camper. And then we've got Matt Stebbins, who's one of our new staff here. And boy, he's doing a great job with a lot of the graphics. So really between the two of them, just doing a marvelous job in helping out with the show, producing the show, etc. Also, got my favorite son-in-law now full-time in the Louisville offices, which if I'm not available, you can certainly see him and he can help go through the assessment. Of course, I get involved in all of our plans. I oversee everything here, but of course, Trey is happy to sit down and talk with you. And then the person that really was responsible for making sure this whole building came to fruition, Gina Tutwiler, our office manager. She's excited about her new digs. Poor old Jeannie, you should have seen her old office. It was about an 8x8 area with a closet with stuff falling out of it. Now she's got, she looks like Captain Kirk on Star Trek, but she loves her new dig. So again, Monday through Thursday, if you're in the Louisville area, drop by 8303 Shelbyville Road. Be happy to pass off a starter kit to you. Okay, back to what we're doing and what we're talking about today. The key to a worry-free retirement is this concept of KISS. And of course, I think we know what this means. After working with 34 years, I sure know what it means. It means keep it simple, stupid, or as my grandmother liked to tone that down a little bit, keep it simple, silly. And this is what I find. Needlessly, folks, this is needless. Many of you savers out there, are way too worried about your money. And let's face it, the reason you're so worried, and the reason we've learned this over the years and working with so many savers is, you think that things are just going to be rosy without a game plan. It reminds me of a client who recently lost her spouse of more than 50 years. And as she was spending nearly every day traipsing back and forth to see her husband in the nursing home, he had Alzheimer's, unfortunately, was going downhill very quickly. I asked her, I said, how are things going? And she responded in a kind of exacerbated, exhausted voice, well, Tony, put it this way, you know how they talk about these golden years? Well, they ain't so golden after all. You see, folks, what I've learned, and unfortunately, I don't think the financial world has figured this out, is that the key for savers, the key to worrying less about money and your future is this KISS principle. And I know you've heard it before, but it is so true. And even in our last example, this client who reminded me, Tony, I think what he was saying is, keep this stuff simple. And remember, this client, quite frankly, was a very sharp fellow. Did well in his field, he's very intelligent, and he basically admitted to me after several appointments, he said, Tony, yeah, I know you say I'm sharp, but he says, I don't understand this stuff. I'm not trained in how to take this 401k and turn it into mailbox money. I don't know how to minimize my taxes. I don't know when to draw Social Security. I don't know how much to spend. I don't know how much to give. But again, with our game plan, folks, it's really like a roadmap. I don't know if you remember the old AAA triptychs. Aaron and Matt, they're too young to know about this, but you used to, before GPS, you went to AAA, and they may still do this, but you get this long map. You'd fold it out and it'd show you if you're going to Florida or something. It'd show you exactly where to go, and they would highlight it for you on which road to take. And that way, if there was detours or whatever, you could find your way back on the right path. Well, it's the same way with retirement planning, folks. You need a roadmap. You need a game plan, and it needs to be very simple and easy to understand, because there will be times you're going to have to get off on the main road, and we got to get you back there. We'll talk about that in the next segment. So again, we have the KISS principle, but then we add to that. So if you're looking for a retirement specialist and want to know more about the WorryFree Retirement, we add to that a knowledge of the field of retirement planning, plus, here's the key, the retirement specialist needs to have an understanding of the mind of the saver. You put those three things together, and you're going to be on the road to a worry-free retirement. So how do we keep things simple? And what are those 8 key elements that I've found over the years that your retirement specialist better understand? Because these 8 key things are actually services. That's right. They're services to the process that we offer. So when I come back, I've never done this before, I'm going to go over these 8 key services that a retirement specialist must offer you. And yep, we offer these services. You stay tuned. You're watching the WorryFree Retirement. I'll be right back.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we're sharing today the secret to a worry-free retirement and just maybe making those golden years for you a little more golden. You know, in the first segment, we talked about the idea of the KISS principle, keep it simple, silly. And this is what savers must do in order to worry less about the future. A saver likes to keep things simple. But without a simple game plan, like the Worry-Free Retirement, you're going to worry. Now, by the way, I'm not talking about a one-pager summarizing your assets. I saw this the other day, someone who had worked with an advisor. They wanted a second opinion on what they had put in place. And I talked to these folks about looking over everything. I asked to see a game plan. They didn't hand me a game plan. They handed me a bunch of investments, annuity contracts that they'd purchased from this person. And I said, you don't have a game plan? And they said, oh, I think I know what you mean. And they handed me this one-page summary of all their assets. And I said, folks, that's not a game plan, that's a financial statement. A financial statement tells you what you have, but it doesn't tell you how in the world you're going to use, enjoy, and protect it. By the way, this is an unethical practice I'm seeing more and more, folks. You are being asked to turn over your money to advisors without first getting anything in writing. Now, I first heard of this practice actually at a conference I attended years ago in Vegas. It was about 500 advisors from all over the country. It was a conference for advisors. I was one of the speakers, several other speakers. And a gentleman got up there and he was telling advisors, it was something like how to get control of clients' assets before you work with them or something. It was this weird title, and I started listening, and this guy said, here's how you do this. You basically just tell people in order to get the plan, you've got to move the assets over. And I thought, I almost fell out of my chair. I said, surely no consumer, especially a saver, is going to be that trusting and be duped into thinking to give over all the assets first before getting anything in writing. And I thought, why would you even do that, number one? And that's not going to work. And now I'm seeing many of you out there are doing this. Folks, I don't care how big of an office these people have. I don't care how fancy a car. I don't care how many clients they say they have. I don't even care if they say they're a fiduciary. If you are turning over your money before ever seeing anything in writing that you can look at and study, my advice would be grab your wallet and get out of there while you can. Folks, that is so unethical, and I hate to say that. That would be foolish on your part to do that. Hopefully you understand why I'm firing that warning shot over the bow. Get it in writing first. Be able to think about it, and then, if you're comfortable, get back with the advisor. All right, in the essence of time, Aaron's going, come on, Tony, let's keep this moving. Number one, there's 8 keys, all right, to the Worry-Free Retirement, and 8 key services we provide that any advisor should provide if they're claiming to be a retirement specialist. Number one, the advisor must be very proficient and knowledgeable in the entire 401k rollover process. Now, when I say 401k, that includes your 457, your 403B, your thrift savings account, your lump sum pension. And this advisor needs to be competent because you're going to have to know a lot about taxes. You're going to have to make sure you know how to roll it over without accidentally triggering taxes. And you're also going to have to deal with a financial institution that's been handling that 401k. And in many cases, folks, they don't want to let go of the money. They're going to try to talk you into staying with them, and then you're going to have to go back to them and say, well, no, I really want a game plan. That's why I'm moving it over. We have this happen a lot. Connie Fortney in our office has been with me for almost 15 years now. She's handled literally thousands of 401k rollovers. So if you work with us, Connie's going to be at the helm. We're going to make sure that 401k is rolled over properly. Key point. Number two, assuming you're a saver, you should have a clear understanding of the role that annuities play in your retirement plan. And again, we love annuities for savers because annuities are the only contractually guaranteed investment, again, that guarantees you won't run out of money. I don't care what other people say about annuities. I don't care if they say they hate them. It doesn't matter to me. The point is they work. And if you're a saver and if you love your Social Security payments and your pension payments, you're going to love annuities because that's really what Social Security and a pension is. It's an annuity, which by definition means lifetime income. Incidentally, we're really excited about the fact that I just recently hit the $300 million milestone, which means as a personal producer of annuities since 9/11, I've been one of the first in the country, just a single agent, I'm not talking about a group of agents in a firm, to write $300 million of fixed annuity premiums. So folks, we understand these products, and more importantly, the reason I think we've done so well with annuities is we understand how to put them in a game plan. All right, number 3, retirement planning must include KISS. Reason I've created proprietary software, people say, why'd you spend all that money, Tony? I mean, it's in the 6 figures I had to spend to create what I call the Worry-Free Retirement software. Why do I spend so much money hiring really, really good people to work with the software? And we have people on staff that understand Social Security, and I have another registered investment advisor that can answer your questions besides me, because we want to service the sale long after the sale. So a lot of advisors don't have support staff. They don't have proprietary software, and that's why you're not getting a game plan. Number 4, the other key element of the Worry-Free Retirement, or any hopefully retirement specialist you're working with, is what we call conservative investing with a passive bent. Folks, I'm not claiming to hang the moon here, and I'm not claiming I know what the market's going to do. You can't time the market. Nobody can. So we're not going to get out here chasing returns. We're trying to earn a very reasonable rate of return with the least amount of risk, and here's the key, the least amount of fees. Give you an example. We have people walking in here, and by the time I'm finished analyzing their fees, they're charging, the advisors are charging 2%. Well, folks, you take 2% of a $500,000 account, that means the advisor's making $10,000 before you even get out of the gate. That's too high. Our fee under our new Charles Schwab platform as custodian, our fee is a flat fee of 0.6%. So in that example, $500,000 account, instead of paying $10,000 every year to Wally World, it's $3,000. That's it. And that's $7,000 in your pocket year in and year out. I think that makes a huge difference. Segued into the fifth key element of the worry-free retirement is tax and fee analysis. Now here's what we're talking about here. You think about this. You've got this 401k plan, or you've got an annuity, or you've got some capital gains built into your investments. Who's going to help you think through the planning of the future taxes? Now I'm not talking about your income taxes. We're not accountants. We're not trying to do your income taxes. We're trying to plan for the eventuality of the taxes on your money. We talk about this all the time. When you die, folks, that tax tumor does not die with you. That tax tumor gets passed off to your family, and they got to deal with it. So again, we can help try to minimize the taxes both during your life and at death, and certainly we can look at the fees to try to keep those low, something savers love to do. One of my favorites, number 6, life insurance. Folks, one thing's for certain, ain't nobody going to get out of this thing alive. I heard the saying years ago, a guy spoke at a conference, I thought it was hilarious. He says, folks, you see those funeral processions going up and down the road? They ain't practicing, and that is so true. We are all going to die, regardless of what you think about your assets. Somebody, when you die, I see it all the time, is going to come up a loser. You are going to lose something at death. I'm getting ready to give an example in Social Security to show you, but what life insurance is really meant for, folks, think about all the insurances you could have. Let's name a few of these just for the fun of it. You got car insurance, home insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance, cancer insurance, liability insurance. I've got this building here. I've got a separate policy for that. It goes on and on and on. And while we appreciate the fact that insurance is there to protect us, all of those insurances I just mentioned, think about this, may never be used. And you say, hey, Tony, I hadn't thought about that. What happens? Well, it just means I gave a bunch of money to the insurance company and they've been using all my money and I get nothing. And you say, well, that's right, Tony, that's why I bought a bunch of term life. And I would say, well, you just made another mistake. Now again, term life insurance sometimes has its place. There's uses for it. But in general, the reason that's so cheap, folks, is because the insurance companies know you're probably not going to use it. So you spend all this money on term life insurance on an event that is going to happen. You're going to die. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to insure their whole life, but whatever. And then you eventually have to let that policy lapse because it gets too expensive, and voila, nobody gets an insurance policy and all the money's gone. That doesn't sound like a good deal to me. Number 7, Social Security. Huge component. Most people don't know how to wrestle with this. We do. I recently met someone that came in, and remind me next week, Aaron, I'm going to go through this actual case on the whiteboard next week because this is really cool stuff how we worked on this. But in essence, what we did, they came in and they were trying to figure out, do they take Social Security now, claim the benefits now, that's money in their pocket, I get it, or wait till age 70. Now there is no one-size-fits-all answer here either. Sometimes it's best to wait, sometimes you need to take it now. But in their case, I said, why are you wanting to take it now? Again, that's another thing, folks. A retirement specialist is going to ask a lot of questions. If they're doing all the talking, again, that's another sign to get your wallet and sneak out of there as quickly as you can. But basically, I said, why do you want to take Social Security now? She said, well, one of our goals between now and retirement is to pay off our home. And I said, well, that's a worthy goal. I like that. So there's no problem with that. If that's what you want to do, let's figure out how to do it. But what you'll find out next week, the scenario we went through, which was very detailed, was all of the pros and cons that came with taking Social Security early. And again, the survivor benefit was a key issue. So again, next week, we're going to share an exact case that I was working on. It's going to be very insightful in terms of how a financial advisor like us is going to delve into your situation and give you a lot of detail to think about. And finally, number 8, we just call it financial advice. I give a lot of financial advice on this show. So for instance, it's great to assume that we could come up with the perfect game plan. You're retired and you say, well, Tony, que sera, sera, thanks for helping me. You've been a great help. I love this KISS principle. I'll see you on the other side, brother. It doesn't work that way. I can assure you, because we have people come in all the time. As time goes by, there will be things that come up that we have not planned for. It's as my dad used to always say, nothing stays the same, folks. So the question is, although you might get a game plan in place today, how knowledgeable is that advisor to help you with different sorts of financial advice that will come up? Now I'll say this, I haven't seen everything under the sun, but being on TV so long, being in the financial trenches 34 years, working with literally thousands of people and meeting thousands of people, I've seen about everything. So you know that for no additional charge, if you work with us, the financial advice I provide you in the future is absolutely free and hopefully comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can take seriously. Well, speaking of taking things seriously and this whole idea of keeping things simple, does the Bible, this complicated book, the Bible, really make things simple for you and I to understand so that we can follow the wisdom of God? You bet it does, but first, I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Let's face it, the last thing you want in retirement is to be full of life and flat broke. I'm Tony Walker, and for the past 33 years, I've made it my life's mission to make certain that my clients don't go broke in retirement by providing mailbox money for life. Let me show you how easy it is to be worry-free in retirement by creating a guaranteed income you can never outlive. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started today.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Can you afford for your money to take a hit with the stock market being so volatile these days? Nobody can time the market, but having a retirement game plan with Tony Walker Financial gives you peace of mind and sleep insurance. Learn how to prevent losses in your retirement accounts and plan your retirement around an income you can never outlive. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com today to schedule a personal meeting with Tony to secure your hard-earned money. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
All right, welcome back to the WorryFree Retirement. Hey, there he is. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron, America's favorite financial sidekick, brought along my sidekick just to make me feel at home there, the infamous Tony Walker bobblehead. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about this KISS principle? You bet, all right? So what we're talking about is a twofold situation here. One, we've been trying to remind savers that in order to worry less about the future, they must keep things simple, and that includes their investments and a game plan to use and enjoy the money. But second, a saver must do is confirm that the advisor helping them with the game plan has the knowledge, the heart, and the experience to help them along life's way, because there are lots of things out there that are uncertain and unpredictable. So here's the point. Things will change. One day, we're all going to die. Incidentally, I mentioned I'd lost my mother-in-law recently. In my Bible, I found this when we were clearing out things. This was a letter I wrote to my mother-in-law in 1993. Very interesting letter, and I was trying to encourage her about some things in the Bible that she was going through back then. So I'm kind of glad we found that. That was kind of interesting to find that and look back on that. But, you know, people do pass away. Things happen. So we have to go back to this very complicated book known as the Bible, incidentally, the world's best-selling book ever. Most of you have it tucked away in your drawers, and even the hotel rooms and hospital rooms have it there. So there's Bibles everywhere. We have no excuses, folks. All we got to do is pick it up and read it. And this Bible actually breaks things down so simply, especially when it comes to money and the future. And it also breaks things down to help us understand our very souls and what's going to happen when we die. So yep, I'm going to have to turn there, my favorite book in the Bible on money. So let's go, Aaron, to Ecclesiastes 3:11. Ecclesiastes 3:11, and it simply says this, verse 11, He, that is God, has made everything appropriate in its time. Now let's stop there a minute. No matter what has happened, what is going on in your life, no matter how glorious things might be or how tragic right now things might be, God, who is the author of all things, makes the timing of such events appropriate. So let's keep reading here as we keep going here. He also says that He has set eternity in their heart. That's you and I. So we're not really thinking about here and now, or we shouldn't be dwelling on those things. We're thinking about what happens after we die. So he has that set in our heart, and he says he does this so that man, I love this part, will not find out the work which God has done from the beginning to the end. So verse 11 reminds us that it is not man who has a handle on all of this stuff, it's God. So no matter what man might think, no matter how much man might think he knows, no matter how spiritual he or she thinks they are, they don't have the power over the future. Verse 12, let's look at this. He says that I know that there's nothing better for them, that you and I love this part, to rejoice and do good in one's lifetime. So keeping this whole thing about life in perspective, the best thing I believe that you and I can do to keep our life and our walk simple is, number one, is to do good. And moreover, he says, eventually, enjoy the fruits of our labor, because he says that every man who eats and drinks, this is so interesting. I don't know what's going on because the date of this show is July 10th, 2018. They've just rescued a few of those poor souls out of that cave in Thailand. Hopefully they get the other 4 out and the coach that's left at the date of this recording. But you know what they were asking those kids what they wanted to do as soon as they got out? All the kids talked about was what they were going to eat and what they were going to drink. So it is a natural function of human life, and God wants us basically to enjoy those things. So he says that every man who eats and drinks, what? Sees good in all of his labor. And folks, that's the gift of God. So quit worrying so much about your money. Grab hold of today. Enjoy today for whatever it's giving you, and I guarantee you'll start worrying less about money. Well, how about you? Are you sitting there and you don't have any game plan, nothing to understand, nothing in writing from anybody? Maybe you're trying to figure out how to get some of that mailbox money we keep talking about. Maybe you're wanting to figure out how to lower the tax tumor, deal with that tax tumor that's buried inside that 401k. Maybe you just want a clear vision of how you're going to enjoy your stuff while you're alive and who's going to get it when you die. Well, we can help. I'm a fiduciary. I'm a retirement specialist. We have over 2,500 clients. We have one of the lowest fee programs in the industry, and we're one of the leading writers of fixed annuities in the entire country. So why not get one of our free starter kits, get a second opinion about your future, and best of all, you can sit down with me in person. There's absolutely no cost or obligation, and we'll never ask you, this is key, we'll never ask you to hand your money over to us without first giving you something in writing and something to study. So what are you waiting for? Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and let's get started today. Well, I've enjoyed being with you today, and between now and next week, as I always like to say, if all else fails, you remember to be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.